Even if no one says it outright, you still feel like the whole world is silently judging you. As you scroll through your screen, you easily come across millionaires barely in their 20s, or brilliant CEOs at just 25 years old. Meanwhile, you look at yourself already in your 30s, 40s, still struggling with expenses, and countless plans still up in the air. You might feel like your time has passed even before you've truly begun. However, Napoleon Hill, who dedicated his entire life to studying the greatest minds in history, revealed an incredibly valuable secret. The most resounding success doesn't belong to those who achieve it earliest, but rather to the late bloomers. What's the reason? Let's look at this fascinating contrast. Success that comes too early is often likened to building a castle on sand. Magnificent on the outside, yet incredibly fragile. When economic storms or unexpected life events suddenly strike, they easily crumble due to a lack of real-world experience. But what about you? Those years you thought were struggling, that you mistakenly believed were failures, were actually the very time you were diligently forging a solid foundation on bedrock. According to scientific research, the prefrontal cortex, the primary executive region for judgment and strategic planning, only reaches full maturity after the age of 25. Napoleon Hill emphasized that the ability to transmute energy, along with accurate thinking in each individual, only reaches its peak between the ages of 40 and 60. You're not behind at all. You simply aren't following the timeline others have set. You are being nurtured to rise when your foundation is solid, so that when you achieve victory, it will be a resounding and lasting triumph. Still have any doubts? Let's marvel at those who completely redefine the concept of time. Consider the case of Vera Wang. She is globally celebrated as the queen of wedding dresses. But did you know she only began her career designing her first wedding gown after turning 40? Before that, she spent decades pursuing a career as an ice skater, as well as an editor in the fashion industry. Those years were far from wasted. They were a period of accumulating refined and discerning aesthetic taste. And a resilient spirit helped her shine brightly, even when everyone believed it was time for women to settle down. Or let's look at the story of Kroc. The mighty McDonald's corporation we know today was not built by a young man brimming with passion. Instead, it was a 52-year-old man who painstakingly built it, while still tirelessly selling milkshake machines. For Kroc, decades of failure and arduous sales trips were merely invaluable lessons that honed his intuition, allowing him to see the immense potential in a humble burger joint that younger people had inadvertently overlooked. The point here is crystal clear. Society often judges you by your age, but success only recognizes your preparation and readiness. These individuals weren't randomly lucky. They succeeded because they endured long enough to grasp the rules, stumbled enough to shed all fear, and remained humble long enough so that when their achievements resonated, the whole world watched in awe. Today's world often champions youth for its vibrancy, and glory is but fleeting. However, the harsh truth is, when success comes too quickly, it's often built upon an incredibly fragile ego. If you achieve victory too young, your identity becomes tightly bound by praise and recognition. You don't own your success. Success owns you. And once the spotlight fades, those shooting stars often crumble easily because deep down inside there's nothing but emptiness. Yet you are an exception. Throughout the past, while others were busy showing off, you diligently absorbed lessons no book could ever teach. The ability to rise after crushing defeats, a profound understanding of suffering's depth, and the capacity to discern life's operating principles. The philosopher Carl Jung named this journey the process of individuation. In our youth, we often wear masks imposed by society, family, and prejudices. We relentlessly pursue ambitions that aren't truly our own, only when those masks begin to crack under the pressure of time. In the stumbles of our 30s and 40s does your true nature and hidden strength truly emerge. As the glow of youth begins to fade, that's when your mind shines brightest. What makes the tumultuous period of youth a true blessing? It's crucial to realize this isn't a stumble, but a journey. To refine what doesn't belong to your true self. Carl Jung defined it as freedom from the persona mask. Those who achieve success too early often find themselves trapped within that facade, with no escape. They're forced to play the role of the successful person without truly knowing who they are. But you have the fortune to shatter it early. Like a legendary sword, you need the harshness of the forge and the blazing fire of hardship to forge an unyielding, resilient person. You're not wasting time at all. You're honing your authentic self. This very process of refinement grants you an advantage that Napoleon Hill named the power of understanding laws. A young person in their 20s, upon discovering an opportunity, often believes it's mere coincidence. They rush into it blindly. But you, after years of contemplation, gradually recognize the cyclical laws. You observe trends appear and disappear. You'll effortlessly spot familiar personality types. You'll no longer be captivated by fleeting, superficial allure. This very delay has sharpened your intuition to an extraordinary degree. When the opportune moment truly arrives, you won't be left guessing. Instead, you'll make decisions rooted in profound insight, a wisdom rarely attained in youth. And most crucially, trust implicitly that this delay is, in fact, a profound protection from the universe. Consider this: if you had millions of dollars at just 20 years old when your character is still unformed and your ego remains incredibly fragile, would that fortune truly build you up or ultimately destroy you? We've seen countless instances of those who shone brightly, then burned out, because success arrived too soon before they had a chance to truly mature. But imagine reaching your peak at 45. After having weathered life's storms and tasted every bitterness, you'll be unshakable. By then, you won't merely be earning money, you'll be forging an unyielding empire. This delay is the invaluable period for your roots to delve deep and anchor firmly through life's unyielding bedrock. You are being meticulously forged to become a magnificent, ancient tree, a tree that, once it stands majestically tall, no storm, however fierce, will ever be able to topple. Napoleon Hill once stressed, "All great achievements begin with a burning desire, but only those who transform it into an unyielding passion can reach the pinnacle of glory." That's why it's time to put an end to your half-hearted efforts or baseless, fanciful dreams. To truly ascend, you must begin to reconstruct your life step by step through the mind's most potent instrument. Auto-suggestion. Resolutely discard the old self-talk that constantly echoes in your mind, proclaiming, "It's too late for everything." Instead, cultivate a new mindset, firm and resolute. "I am not late. I am arriving precisely on time." These marks are a valuable map of experience. And this waiting is the depth for a magnificent legacy about to take shape. However, remember that shifting your mindset is merely the initial stepping stone. You must take 3 powerful action steps to truly transform. First, assume the role of gatekeeper for your own mind. Napoleon Hill posited that you are the sum total of the 5 friends with whom you spend the most time. If you continue to entertain conversations filled with complaints about age or a complacent, resigned attitude, you are inadvertently poisoning your own dreams and aspirations. Be bold and close the door on anyone who tries to put obstacles in your way. Guard your precious energy as if it were your very lifeblood, allowing only thoughts of growth and foresight to penetrate the depths of your subconscious. Secondly, you must learn to embrace the invisible void. This is the most challenging time, when you have completely shed your old self, yet your new form has not yet clearly taken shape. There's no fame, no applause, and absolutely no recognition from the masses. Don't worry if you feel alone in that vast emptiness, because in the quiet darkness, your roots are silently building the strongest foundation. Always remember, an oak tree must endure centuries of silence to become the king of the forest, while weeds sprout overnight, only to wither away after the first seasonal rain. The solitude you're experiencing isn't about being forgotten, but rather preparation for an extraordinary breakthrough. Finally, rewrite your story and embrace your new self without hesitation. Consider Antonio. He no longer defined himself as an unemployed plumber, a name that seems to be synonymous with failure. He proclaims himself the master of leak prevention strategy. It's not the tools he holds that make the difference, but his attitude. Never, ever walk into a room with the air of a supplicant or someone who has become irrelevant. Never feel the need to justify your presence. Walk with the confidence of one who has been forged through countless adversities and has mastered wisdom that youth rarely achieves. When you redefine yourself, the world will be forced to redefine you. You are not tirelessly chasing success, begging for recognition. You are the one actively creating it from the remnants of the past. Etch this into your mind. The most challenging battle you face isn't in the external world, where numbers, judgments, or the dazzling successes of others overwhelm you. It lies right here, within your own mind. Real transformation doesn't start the day you get a big payout or adulation from the masses. It begins the very moment you make the decision. I am no longer bound by the old version of myself. From this moment on, let silence be your most powerful strategy. Do not explain nor try to prove. And don't bother convincing those who never believed in you anyway. Let your inner transformation, those moments of persistent solitude, those times of subconscious reshaping, quietly rebuild who you are. You are forging yourself in silence so you can shine brilliantly under the spotlight, without ever being overshadowed. When you reappear, you won't need to introduce yourself. You won't have to utter a word to prove your worth. You will walk into spaces, into environments that once overlooked your presence, and completely transform the atmosphere there simply by showing up. That is the power of someone who has overcome themselves. It's not arrogance, but a profound self-possession, of a soul forged through arduous trials. Your story didn't end during the anonymous period of your struggling years, but in fact, it truly began there. And now, having grasped the secret of those who rise late, keep moving forward, don't look back. Because your glorious resurgence has become a certainty. This is inevitable.